system. That is going to be about the same mass and size for a giant rocket as it is going to be for a tiny rocket.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just parasitic mass that is very consequential if you're building a very small rocket, but is trivial if you're building a very large rocket. So you have the parasitic mass thing. And then if you look at, for example, rocket engines have turbopumps. They have to pressurize the fuel and the oxidizer up to a very high pressure level in order to inject it into the thrust chamber where it burns. And those pumps, all rotating machines, in fact, get more efficient as they get larger. So really tiny turbopumps are very challenging to manufacture, and any kind of gaps, are like between the housing, for example, and the rotating impeller that pressurizes the fuel. There has to be some gap there. You can't have those parts scraping against one another.
Mm-hmm.
And those gaps drive inefficiencies. And so, if you have a very large turbopump, those gaps in percentage terms end up being very small. And so there's a bunch of things that you end up loving about having a large rocket,
Mm-hmm.
and that you end up hating for a small rocket. But there's a giant exception to this rule, and it is manufacturing. So manufacturing large structures is very, very challenging. It's a pain in the butt. And so, it's just, if you're making a small rocket engine, you can move all the pieces by hand. You could assemble it on a table. One person can do it. You don't need cranes and heavy lift operations and tooling and so on and so on. When you start building big objects, infrastructure, civil infrastructure, just like the launch pad and all this, we went and visited. I took you to the launch pad, and you can see it's so monumental.
Yeah, it is.
And so just these things become major undertakings, both from an engineering point of view, but also from a construction and cost point of view.
And even the foundation of the launch pad. I mean, this is Florida. Like, isn't it like swampland? Like, how deep you have to go?
At Cape Canaveral.
Yeah.
In fact, at most ocean, most launch pads are on beaches somewhere in the ocean side, because you want to launch over water for safety reasons. Yes, you have to drive pilings, dozens and dozens and dozens of pilings, 50, 100, 150 feet deep, to get enough structural integrity for these very large, yes, these turn into major civil engineering projects.
I just have to say, everything about that factory is pretty badass. You said tooling. The bigger it gets, the more epic it is.
It does make it epic.
Yeah.
It's fun to look at. It's extraordinary.
It's humbling also, because your humans are so small compared to it.
We are building these enormous machines that are harnessing enormous amounts of chemical power, in very, very compact packages. It's truly extraordinary.
But then there's all the different components, and the materials involved. Is there something interesting that you can describe about the materials that comprise the rocket? So it has to be as light as possible, I guess, whilst withstanding the heat and the harsh conditions.
Yeah, I play a little kind of game sometimes with other rocket people that I run into, where say, what are the things that would amaze the 1960s engineers?
Mm-hmm.
Like what's changed? Because surprisingly, some of rocketry's greatest hits have not changed. They would recognize immediately a lot of what we do today, and it's exactly what they pioneered back in the 60s. But a few things have changed.